Okay, what we have today is, I'll just shoot some quick video. We'll try to get inside, is this, I'd like to say a 19, I'm not sure on the year, 54, 55, but it's a model 21T228. 21T228. This was along with some items in an attic, and I saw a radio which got me interested, but again, I asked any old TVs, and sure enough, it's again, maple cabinet, has the doors in the front. I'll get a look at it once we get it inside. It's a 21-inch rectangle screen. What I do like about the RCAs from the era, the phono inputs here, so you can attach your RCA Victor record playing attachment. So we'll get this thing inside. We've only lost one piece of veneer on the other side, but I do have the piece. So other than a few abrasions there, we're in pretty good shape. Also was what caught my eye here was so we're working on the Raytheon. I saw this was a Zenith transoceanic, which I've had, but I've gave up on these, but because we're doing the battery radios now, we'll do a this is a shortwave AM broadcast Zenith transoceanic. Let me get this cord in so the front shuts. And also as far as the televisions go, I'd say this 1965 black and white GE. You may have seen these before. Must have a little melt damage there. And the rod antenna is missing. And the last thing on the list was a throw in the 4-slice toaster with the big red indicator there, and a couple levers here. I'd open it up, it wouldn't stay shut before, but the ancient 4-slice toaster, which does stay shut, but it was shut. I should have left it shut. More on that later. So basically here we are in its new destination, and we also managed, this was, like I said, a 1700s farmhouse. This television must have been in there in the attic since, I would say, since it was new. I like these, like I said, because of the phonograph feature. There's the underneath. And we had to pick up, chickens seemed to, I guess, lay less eggs in wintertime, so I didn't quite get a dozen eggs, but we had to get some farm fresh eggs while we were there, and that's always a plus. The door is there. It had two doors. To grasp it, we had to take one door off gingerly, and I'll give you a look at the front. It is upside down, but I didn't hear anything fall. What I want to do is leave it upside down. We'll test the CRT coming up and attach the door, and we need to take care of what happens on the bottom. I heard a crack, and there was a little piece of the veneer missing. There's one missing there, but that's old. That's old. And again, we did lose one here, but we haven't lost it. I have that piece, so I'll reattach that piece. This looks like old damage. We looked for that. It was just a little sliver here that's missing. And we'll get on with it. And again, over here is the that toaster must weigh 18 pounds, and the Zenith transoceanic, and the GE60s black and white. Okay, back on the RCA. I have the hardware for the hinges in a bag nearby, and there isn't much to clamp to, but I've gone and attached the broken piece of veneer there. This piece looks like old damage, so it wasn't caused by us today. And there's one other that I heard crack that I've mended. That's over here. I've glued that. And you have to be careful when you move these. That's when you usually lose that edging of the veneer. Happened on the Zenith over there a little bit. Happens on all of them. I just wet this with some warm water and went down it with just a bead of Elmer's glue, so to kind of tighten that up. Again, that looks like old damage there. That's not us. So one little piece on this side and one little piece on the other. Okay, this is our SAMs for this particular RCA. It's the chassis KCS72A, and this is the 16-inch version. I guess that's more popular. I remember going to look at one of these a few weeks back, and I did test the CRT. I think the gentleman wanted $40 for it. I tested the CRT and it was down, so I passed on it. This set's dated 1152 on the SAMs, so we'll say it's a 50. Could just be a 51 or 52 model. Now, it's good news and bad news about this set is it's similar to the 1949 model I have, but that has a round screen. This one has the 21-inch rectangular screen, and the trouble with that is it's a metal tube, which means it has a cone on it. I haven't tested it yet, but a lot of folks say that it goes to air because of the metal glass bonding area. Well, we'll see how ours tests in a minute. We'll see if we can get in that and take a look. Okay, here we are with the back off. And I'm going to test the CRT. I already have the socket on. I'm going to consult the B&K model 465, and this is a 21. I just had the number here. AP4. Let me verify that here. Here it's called the kinescope, but we have a 21 AP4A. And I was looking around for the high voltage lead. Where's the anode lead? And it's crazy. It just goes up there. Being this metal tube. Hopefully we'll film this in the daylight. Chassis is pretty good condition in there. It still has the felt on the screws on the chassis, and any event, let's hope we have a good tube here. I'm going to start the filament off real low. 21 AP4. 6.3 regular socket. G1 is 300. Wait a minute, it has to be G2. G2 300. G1 22 to 72. So let's turn this on. Okay, here's our heater adjust here. Starting it off at 3 volts. I don't know why I want to do that, but I just want to see if that tube glows, because I've heard the filament can just vaporize. The tube is lit. This does look like an original tube, meaning everything in here looks original, so it would be nice to see a replacement sticker, but then again, I will dust that off later. Let's go up to our 6.3. Check for shorts. Do emission, then cut off. Emission, see barely anything. Cut off. Can't set cut off. Tube is lit. Nothing on the meter. We've seen this before though. going to give this just a little more heater. Try the emission while it's not promising. We've seen this before. We'll come back in a few minutes. I'm going to lower this now back down to R6 and let it sit here a minute. Okay, I brought the heater up to about 8 volts. Coming up, but slowly, and we'll come back to it in a minute or so. Let this burn in for a couple minutes. Okay, we're back down to 6.3. I can set cutoff. And if that goes into the good, I'll be happy. As it continues to climb, I don't like to hit these with a shot right away. We've seen these dead tubes come right back up. The moment we won't be in the bad anymore. And there it starts into the good. And we're at 6.3. Set cutoff. Back to emission. I'm sure it won't be a stellar picture, but I won't dismiss this yet. Come back in a couple more minutes. Okay, this is only a short time later. I'm at 6.3, and we'll try the emission. No doubt we've seen better. Let's set my cutoff again. It will creep up into green. I could verify with another tester, but this one has proven its worthiness pretty much. So, it's not a flatliner, it's a green flatliner, but should be capable of producing a picture, as it does go up into the green somewhat. It's right on the line there. We'll just keep running it. We'll try the chassis, so stay tuned. We'll see what this does. We'll get it ready to display a picture. Okay, continuing the assessment of the 21-inch RCA KCS 72. I've noticed just a couple things so far. The only tubes that I see that seem to have been replaced is the in the high voltage cage. We have a a Philco damper, and the output tube has been changed, and also the fuse has been sistered here for the sweep circuit. The 1B3 I can't see from this angle, so maybe we'll power this thing and see what happens. I could test the tubes first, but maybe we'll just watch it come up and see what happens. Okay, just a quick recap before we power this up. We're dealing with the first metal tube that I've experienced. The anode is attached over here and is all exposed. I do have the high voltage probe, and it looks like I may be able to touch it here, but it attaches to the outer rim over yonder. The other difference with this tube is I noticed the presence of an ion trap at this focus. I'm going to have to take a focus lesson because we have electrostatic versus magnetic voltage focus here, and when we're going to change the tube at some point, we're going to have to become familiar with this setup. And there's the date code on the original tube is 39th week of must be 52. And that's about all I've noticed so far. The fuse tests good, so we'll get a cord here and plug this in and bring it up slowly and see what happens. Okay, we have our converter box on and our antenna ready here, and we're about to give this thing a whirl. I don't know whether it's in television or phono yet, but I'll bring it up a little bit. Turn the set on. Tubes are beginning to light. Don't see a terrible amount of current. We're not up very high on voltage either. We'll just let it sit here a few minutes. Yeah, about 66 volts. We'll let it sit here a few minutes. Okay, we'll go up a few more on the variac. That's probably about 80 volts. We ought to start hearing something happen. You hear sound. Okay, let's get a reading here, please.
The balloonfish has neurotoxins in its organs, can inflate to 3 times its size, and they should never be left
99 volts.
Your entertainment operating system has arrived. Introducing the Xfinity X1 Triple Play from Comcast. Find everything
Go up a
faster
little more.
across Live TV, Xfinity On Demand, and the X1 DVR. Plus, get the fastest in-home Wi-Fi for all rooms.
It should be about 100 volts right there.
Visit XfinityGet300B.com today and get the Xfinity X1
High voltage.
from Comcast for $79.99 a month for 12 months.
I do have.
$300 back when you order online. With the new X1 platform,
There is high voltage. There is 10,000 volts.
it's all part of your entertainment operating system. Visit XfinityGet300B.com today and get the Xfinity X1 Triple Play for $79.99 a month for 12 months. And $300 back when you order online.
Well, there's some vertical, horizontal. It's off frequency a bit. Horizontal is the inner ring here. Let's try going up to full power. $109. I'll go up a tad more. Other than horizontal being off frequency, horizontal is way off.
Make your dreams come true this season with the Infinity Limited Engagement Winter Event. Right now, face an all-new Infinity Q.
Come on, dirty tuner. I'll leave it. Leave it in between channels there. I don't want to fine tune too much here. Okay, enough of that. Gotta love that buzz in the new converter boxes. We'll get a picture on this. Okay, I really don't want to run this for extended periods of time, but I am going to adjust the horizontal frequency adjust, and that'll about do it. The picture not filling out doesn't bother me. Just see if we can tune it out here. It's impossible to do one-handed, so Okay, I'm gonna stop here. The horizontal is obviously off frequency. I can't get it in with the frequency coil. If I go out too far, it starts going tick, 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 and I don't like the sound it makes. So I'm gonna leave it set back about the way it was. And we're gonna see what's up with the frequency. The frequency is obviously off, and that's probably due to a capacitor or something in the oscillator circuit, or the tube itself. Because the horizontal seems to have no effect. Vertical is working. We've tested the CRT, not the brightest picture, but it will produce a picture. So there you have it, the 1951 RCA. First look. Thanks for watching. Okay, it seems that there's our horizontal oscillator right there, is the 6SN7. And we'll look at where that is on the schematic. This is the coil we're adjusting right in here, and I don't want to go overboard with that. There's a black beauty there, which is probably most definitely bad. My schematic is particularly horrible here. A couple capacitors here. It looks like that's adjustable. I'm not in love with this C96, I believe it is. Here's our horizontal frequency coil we were adjusting. It comes off of the oscillator. So, somewhere in this circuit, horizontal hold is really doing nothing. Horizontal hold here, this is really not doing much at all. Horizontal locking range doesn't do anything, that's a capacitor. So we'll look around this area here, maybe change some caps and see what we can come up with. So in closing, what's best for probably all of us here is to just put the 21-inch RCA back together. I've gone ahead and reattached the back cover and the chassis, and attached the door on the front that we took off so we could grasp it while carrying it. I don't recommend taking these doors off if you don't have to. I remember from the other set, you almost have to be a skilled cabinet maker to get these to go back on without damage. But you open it up, and it's nothing but a tabletop set in a somewhat handcrafted cabinet. The only thing missing, the only thing left to do here is do a little studying, is to find out what kind of CRT we may want to replace this with, as this is the metal tube. It's weak, it's not bad by any means. It'll display a picture, but something to consider in the future with that magnetic focus versus electrostatic or whatever substitutable tube can be for this, both physically and electronically. So there you have it. That was the again, the 21-inch RCA from 1951-52. So we'll put it back together so we get to it at another time, and meanwhile do some homework on CRT and the chassis with just some horizontal frequency issues. That's it for now. Thanks for watching.